The mansion gleamed in the morning sun, glass and steel casting cold reflections of perfection. Jonathan Wells, billionaire at 35, moved through the halls with his usual calculated calm. Yet inside, panic gnawed at him. His daughters, the twins, had not smiled in 2 years. He paused at their bedroom door. 7 years old. Identical in appearance, strangers in spirit. Silence. Their little hands clutched blankets as if to shield themselves from the world. No laughter, no curiosity, just vacant stares. A faint hum floated from the kitchen. A voice, soft, melodic, threading through the marble corridors. Jonathan froze. It was Clara, the maid. He had barely noticed her presence before, but now she commanded attention without demanding it. A memory stabbed at him. Eliza, his late wife, twirling with the girls, their laughter filling every corner of the mansion. That sound gone, replaced by silence, fear, and Jonathan's own impotent attempts at happiness. Expensive toys, private tutors, trips he thought could heal broken hearts. None had worked. Now he saw Clara kneeling on the floor, placing hand-painted paper butterflies in a trail. Each one bore a girl's name in careful strokes. At the end, a simple wooden music box. She gestured almost imperceptibly, and the twins began to follow the trail. Jonathan's heart caught. Their first flicker of curiosity in 2 years. The eldest twin's lips twitched. The younger's eyes glistened. A laugh, soft and trembling, escaped the eldest. Clara's hands remained outstretched, guiding without pushing, encouraging without force. Jonathan stepped back, overwhelmed. Wealth had failed him. Influence had failed him. But here, in a quiet act of patience, a maid with no claim to his empire had done what he could not. A sharp question struck him. How did she know what they needed when I couldn't? The twins opened the music box, and its melody filled the room. Their laughter, though fragile, spilled into Jonathan's chest like sunlight through storm clouds. Clara smiled quietly, a subtle triumph, almost invisible. She had healed, in minutes, what he had tried to fix for years. Jonathan backed away, letting the moment exist without interference. He realized the truth. Healing the human heart required more than wealth or power. It required empathy, patience, and someone willing to truly see the pain beneath silence. The mansion, once hollow, felt alive. But the lingering question remained, one that would not leave him. Who was Clara, and how had she become the key to everything he could not fix? Micro cliffhanger. He didn't notice the eldest twin glance at him, a fleeting spark of mischief, and for a heartbeat, he wondered if the real change was just beginning. Morning sunlight filtered through the mansion's glass walls, casting long streaks across the marble floors. Jonathan lingered outside the kitchen, drawn to the soft hum of Clara's voice. She moved gracefully, arranging fruits and pastries, yet every motion seemed purposeful, almost ritualistic. Clara, can I ask you something? Jonathan's voice trembled slightly, betraying a vulnerability he rarely showed. She looked up, calm, warm, unshaken. Of course, Mr. Wells. Ow, how did you know what to do for them? He asked, his words nearly a whisper. Clara paused, wiping her hands on her apron, her gaze steady. Children who've lost their world don't need fancy toys or lessons. They need presence, patience, someone to see their hearts, even when they're silent. Jonathan felt a pang in his chest. He recalled the sterile hospital room, the sound of monitors, the day his wife was taken. Therapists, tutors, toys, they had all failed. And yet, here was Clara, quietly coaxing laughter from children who had forgotten how to be happy. Later, the twins followed Clara into the garden. A forgotten treehouse waited, its paint faded and would creaking under the weight of time. She guided them inside, letting them explore at their own pace. The eldest traced the walls with tentative fingers. The younger climbed cautiously, curiosity flickering in her eyes. Jonathan observed from a distance, torn between pride and helplessness. He remembered flashbacks, Eliza teaching bedtime songs, story rituals, playful dances. Those moments had once filled the mansion with warmth. After her death, all had vanished. Now Clara was rebuilding it brick by brick, note by note, smile by smile. She handed them a small journal and crayons, encouraging them to draw memories, hopes, and dreams. One sketched their mother, radiant and smiling. The other drew rainbows with Jonathan and Clara included. Jonathan's chest tightened. The twins were opening again, discovering the world through her gentle guidance. That night, Jonathan reviewed Clara's history, quietly researching her past. A small-town girl, raised by her grandmother after her parents' divorce, she had been responsible for younger siblings from the age of 10. She had learned early that patience, empathy, and resilience could save lives, or at least hearts. Jonathan realized, with sudden clarity, that wealth and power were irrelevant here. Clara's influence came from experience, intuition, and an unshakable understanding of the human heart. She had become the bridge between trauma and recovery, and he had been blind to it. A subtle tension lingered in him. Admiration, curiosity, and an emotion he did not yet name. Why did her presence affect him so profoundly? Micro cliffhanger. As the twins fell asleep clutching their journals, Jonathan noticed Clara pause at the doorway, staring at the girls with something deeper than care. A shadow crossed her face, a memory, a secret perhaps, that even he could not yet glimpse. And he wondered, silently, what it might reveal. The mansion hummed with a quiet energy the next morning. The twins moved through their rooms with cautious curiosity, exploring toys they had once ignored and sunlight filtering through the windows. Their laughter was soft, hesitant, but unmistakable. Clara moved among them like a gentle current, her presence invisible yet undeniably powerful. Jonathan watched from the doorway, heart tight. He remembered the accident with painful clarity, a car skidding on wet asphalt, the screech of tires, his wife's final words. "Promise me you'll keep them safe and happy." He had tried. Expensive trips, tutors, toys, nothing reached them. And now, a maid with no claim to his fortune had broken through where he had failed. Later, in the study, Jonathan pored over old photographs of the girls. In every image before the accident, they were radiant, laughing, dancing, full of life. Their silence after that day had carved a hollow in his chest he thought permanent. And yet, here was Clara, quietly rebuilding what trauma had stolen. That afternoon, Jonathan trailed her discreetly, curiosity gnawing at him. She guided the girls through simple tasks, preparing a small snack, arranging books, teaching them songs. Every movement seemed intentional, every glance measured. Jonathan's chest tightened. He realized she wasn't just guiding the twins. She was teaching them trust, rebuilding their emotional foundation step by step. A flashback struck him. Eliza, softly singing to them at bedtime, holding their tiny hands. The memory made him ache. Clara was recreating that warmth, but with a patience he had never possessed, a subtle mastery of emotions that went beyond mere caregiving. Evening fell. The twins curled up with a small stuffed rabbit Clara had given them. Jonathan stood outside the room, feeling something he hadn't in years. Hope. The mansion, once hollow and silent, now held laughter, curiosity, and life. Yet a subtle unease lingered. Jonathan could feel it in himself, a pull toward Clara, an admiration tinged with something more. He did not yet understand it, but he sensed it was significant, and he knew one thing for certain. The twins' smiles were only the beginning. They were a breadcrumb trail leading him toward understanding Clara, and perhaps something deeper. Micro cliffhanger. That night, as Jonathan closed his eyes, he pictured the twins laughing freely in the treehouse. Then he noticed a shadow in the window, Clara watching him. Was it mere care, or did she see more than he realized? And a question formed in his mind, heavy and persistent. Who is Clara, really? Morning sunlight spilled across the mansion's marble floors, golden and soft. Jonathan arrived early, drawn to the sound of Clara humming a tune older than her years. She moved with quiet precision, arranging breakfast as if each motion carried purpose beyond the ordinary. "Clara, where did you learn all this?" Jonathan asked, voice hesitant. "How do you know what the twins need?" She paused, her hands stilling on the counter. Her eyes softened, shadows of memory flickering across them. It's not a secret, Mr. Wells. I grew up raising my siblings after my parents weren't there. I learned that children need presence, patience, and someone who truly sees their hearts. That's what they need to heal. Jonathan listened, struck by the depth behind her calm. A girl from a small town, burdened with responsibility at 10, had learned resilience and empathy the hard way. Her life had forged skills no wealth or power could buy. This explained the uncanny ability she had to reach his daughters when he could not. Later, Clara led the twins to the mansion's abandoned treehouse. Its faded paint and creaking would had once intimidated them. Now, with Clara's guidance, they explored cautiously. She allowed them to lead, to touch, to climb at their own pace. Every smile that broke across their faces felt earned, fragile, yet profound. Inside the treehouse, Clara presented journals and crayons, gently encouraging the girls to draw their memories and dreams. One sketched their mother, radiant and smiling. The other drew a rainbow connecting Jonathan and Clara, a silent acknowledgement of trust and warmth. Jonathan's chest tightened. He understood now that the smiles were more than joy. They were the daughters reclaiming life. That night, Jonathan wrestled with his reflection. Wealth and influence had shielded him from what truly mattered, human presence. Clara had not only restored the girl's laughter, but had taught him an invaluable lesson about connection, patience, and emotional intelligence. But there was an undercurrent of tension. Jonathan noticed a shadow behind Clara's serene composure, a trace of past grief or secret hardship. He realized that her ability to heal was rooted in experiences he could only guess at, and that understanding her fully might reveal more than he expected. Micro cliffhanger. As the girls fell asleep clutching their journals, Clara lingered at the doorway, staring silently. Jonathan, hidden in the shadows of the hallway, felt a sudden, inexplicable pull, an intuition that Clara's past and the truth behind her quiet power were yet to unfold. He wondered, with a knot in his chest, what secrets lay beneath her calm exterior. A week later, the mansion buzzed with anticipation. Jonathan had arranged for the twins to attend a friend's birthday party, a lively, chaotic garden filled with balloons, music, and strangers. He believed the exposure would solidify their progress. Clara, however, studied the girls carefully, uncertainty shadowing her calm demeanor. "Are they ready?" she asked softly, eyes scanning the twins. Jonathan nodded, pride tinged with hope. "They've smiled this week. They'll be fine." Clara packed a small comfort bag, favorite toys, a handkerchief carrying the scent of home, and a delicate butterfly charm she had made for them. Her intuition told her this would be needed. At the party, the twins clung together, their smiles hesitant. Jonathan hovered, unsure of how much to intervene. Suddenly, a large dog bounded toward them, barking. Panic froze their tiny bodies. Jonathan lunged instinctively, but it was Clara who reached them first. Her arms shielded the girls. Her voice, calm and melodic, cut through the chaos. Slowly, the twins' breathing evened, and they relaxed under her guidance. Jonathan's chest tightened. His wealth, power, and influence could command almost anything, but not fear. Clara, without authority, had restored safety in a moment of chaos. Later, beneath a quiet tree, Clara guided the girls in a simple game, encouraging play without direction. Laughter returned, tentative at first, then genuine and bubbling. Jonathan realized the breakthrough was not the smiles themselves. It was the girls reclaiming agency, trust, and courage. That night, Jonathan reflected on his own failures. Flashbacks of his wife's funeral surfaced, the twins silent, withdrawn, and unreachable. He had been powerless then. Now, Clara had not just healed them. She had rebuilt a bridge between trauma and trust. And yet, something unexpected stirred within him. Admiration for Clara had deepened into an unfamiliar pull, subtle and persistent. He didn't yet understand it, but he could feel its weight. Micro cliffhanger. As the twins slept clutching their butterfly charms, Jonathan noticed Clara pause at the doorway, her gaze lingering. He felt it again, that inexplicable pull, a sense that Clara's story, her past, and her power to heal held layers he had yet to uncover. And the question struck him sharply. Why does her presence matter to me so much beyond their smiles? The mansion, once hollow, now echoed with laughter, yet Jonathan knew the journey was not over. The delicate bond the girls had begun to form could falter if mishandled. Clara's subtle mastery of care had achieved what he could not, and he understood, with a clarity that startled him, that he needed to learn from her, to follow her lead without interference. He lingered outside the twins' room long after Clara left, heart racing. One truth became undeniable. Healing was delicate, and Clara was the one who held the key. Sunlight poured into the mansion, soft and golden, as if blessing the day. Jonathan approached the twins' room with a mixture of anticipation and awe. The girls were awake, sitting cross-legged on the floor, laughing together over a simple puzzle Clara had left for them. Their smiles were no longer fleeting. They were radiant, effortless, and genuine. Jonathan's chest swelled. 2 years of silence, trauma, and fear had begun to dissolve, piece by piece, under Clara's quiet guidance. Every subtle act, the paper butterflies, tea parties, treehouse journaling, and even the birthday party intervention, had been carefully orchestrated by her, and had worked. Clara entered quietly, sensing Jonathan's gaze. She smiled softly, not seeking recognition, allowing the girls' joy to take center stage. Jonathan realized something profound. Wealth, influence, and control could never replace empathy, patience, and understanding. Clara had restored his daughter's laughter, and with it, the heart of the family itself. The twins approached her with small hands, offering puzzle pieces, and she knelt, gathering them and whispering gentle encouragements. Laughter, rich and unguarded, filled the room, echoing through the mansion like sunlight through clouds. Jonathan stepped closer, tears threatening. For the first time in years, he understood the true meaning of presence. I don't know how to thank you," Jonathan said, voice trembling. Clara shook her head, serene. "No thanks needed. Just continue to be present. Let your love be the constant. The rest will follow." Later, Jonathan sought her privately, longing to understand the woman who had quietly reshaped his family. Clara spoke little of herself, yet in her stories of resilience and care, he glimpsed the depth of her strength. She had faced loss, borne responsibility, and emerged capable of nurturing what trauma had shattered. Her heart, patience, and empathy had mended more than just his daughter's smiles. Night fell. The mansion was at peace. The twins slept soundly, clutching their butterfly charms. Jonathan stood by the window, gazing at the stars. Gratitude filled him, profound and transformative. The house, once silent and sorrowful, now resonated with life, laughter, and hope. A subtle micro-cliffhanger lingered. Jonathan noticed Clara pause near the doorway before leaving, her gaze meeting his briefly. There was depth in that glance, a quiet acknowledgement that the journey was far from over, that the bonds they had formed would shape all their futures. Jonathan allowed himself a full, unguarded smile. Not the hollow, forced smiles of the past, but one born from understanding, humility, and connection. He had wealth, yes, but he now understood the priceless value of presence, patience, and human love. Clara had not just healed the girls, she had healed the family. And in the quiet of the mansion, Jonathan silently vowed he would protect these bonds, nurture them, and honor the woman who had shown him what truly mattered. Final micro cliffhanger for retention. As he turned away, Jonathan glimpsed the eldest twin holding Clara's hand in sleep, a subtle squeeze of trust and love, a promise of the future. And he knew, deep in his heart, that this was only the beginning of